I want it to be the most globally recognized brand in the baking industry.
Yes.
Aim high.
Aim high.
Yeah, I mean, look at what we've done in 2 years. I would love to see what we do in 20 years. I got to the point when I turned 30 where I was like, whatever I do next is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I love working. I love building businesses. This is what I want to do forever. So for me, it's like what does that look like? It looks like so many things, but we're opening more stores. So that's something that we're doing this year. We're also coming to the UAE eventually this year. Yeah.
Hey guys, we're back at the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival, and I have a really cool guest. Someone who I've been personally following on TikTok for years, and everyone is low-key freaking out that I'm interviewing you right now because everyone's like, the cookies! Brooke Bellamy, did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Founder of Brookie Bakehouse. It is so nice to have you on the podcast. Welcome to Sharjah.
Thank you so much. I've felt so welcome since I got here.
Amazing. Because I know you were in Abu Dhabi a couple months ago.
Yes.
And now this is your second time to the UAE?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had the pop-up in Abu Dhabi was all of December.
Yes.
And that went so well that I got invited out to Sharjah for the Entrepreneurship Festival. And who knows what's next?
I know, because so I'm like a girl that like looks at TikTok comments for some reason. Like I love looking at, and everyone is like, when are you opening the UAE? When are you opening the UAE? When are you opening? When are you opening? And you're like saying coming soon, eyes. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure it's in the books, but
yeah.
I mean, we all have seen your journey, I think, through TikTok, especially like the OGs, I would say. Mm-hmm. But I want to take it back. Did you always know you were going to be a baker? Did you always knew you were going to be a baker?
I think maybe it was like the seed was planted very young. So yeah, my mom and I grew up in the kitchen baking choc chip cookies. I would always bake with her. And so that was like normal to me. That was kind of how I grew up. But when I went to university, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I just wanted to tick the box of going to university. Mm-hmm. And then when I graduated with my arts degree in political science, which is basically, I mean, at that point, for me, it just became like a degree to be able to be involved in a dinner table conversation, if I'm honest.
Fair. Yeah, fair.
It was like a global education.
Yeah.
And then after university, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I went traveling and I spent all my money in the first couple of months. And I wanted to go for a gap year. I don't know if you have it over here or in America.
We do, yeah. The States, 100% gap year. UAE, not so much. I think the more of the transition is school, work. But gap year, I honestly look back, I kind of regret not doing a gap year because I feel like you learn so much about yourself. You probably can speak to that.
Yeah, 100%. So I went overseas for the gap year, but I spent my money really quickly because I grew up in a small island in Australia called Tasmania.
Okay.
And it's just a completely different economy to what we call the mainland, which is like the whole of Australia, if you think of it on a map. And so money to me just had a very different meaning. Like I thought I had a lot of money, but when you go to the mainland and then take it one step further overseas, it just didn't last as long as I thought it would. So I started a travel blog to be able to travel longer. Oh. Yeah. And then I ended up traveling all throughout my 20s. So until I was 30, I didn't come back home. I mean, I came like intermittently.
Yeah.
But I was traveling the world. And while I was traveling the world, I experienced so many bakeries because I love sweets. And so when I would go everywhere, I would seek out the best bakeries.
Okay. It was kind of part of the blog series?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And it was just part of my personality. Like I love eating sweets. And then when I was in Europe, I did like a day class in Paris to learn how to make macarons.
Sick. That's
so
cool.
And I was like, wait a second, I don't just love eating sweets. I love making them. Like I really love, like for me, baking is therapy. So when I went back to Australia at the end of my very extended gap year, I decided to open my bakery and here we are today.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So when you were doing the travel vlogging, were you kind of utilizing TikTok yet or not really? Was it more like Instagram?
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people had TikTok at that time, but when people said to me, like, tried to explain it to me, they were like, it's an app where you like post like really short 15-second videos. I just wasn't interested. I think coming from the lens of travel where it's like supposed to be about slowing down and experiencing things and taking your time and having perspective, like that to me, a 15-second app for videos it just wasn't interesting to me.
So
I never downloaded it. And then it changed my life. So I didn't download it. And then I had like Instagram I was really familiar with and starting to do like a little bit of video content on there, but not really so much. And then with Brookie, when I opened the bakery, it took about 8 months for it to get popular. And what made it popular was 8 months in, I realized like I'm not paying myself a wage. This is like I'm living the best version of my life. I'm so happy getting up at 5 a.m. going to work in the bakery. However, I'm not making any money. So like the same thing is going to happen that happened to me with travel. There's an end to it if I don't figure out a way to make money. So that is when I downloaded TikTok. And the third video I uploaded was a day in my life as a bakery owner, because I liked watching people share a day in the life of whatever they were doing on TikTok. And then this was at a time when TikTok had just changed from, I think, 30 seconds to 2-minute videos. They went through like incrementally. They kept changing it. So I think the timing really had a lot to do with it, because by the time I was on the app, because
I heard in one of your videos, this was a recent video that you had uploaded, but you said that you went from not posting a day in your life to posting a day in your life. You said your business was kind of failing. And then once you started to pick up TikTok and actually doing a day in my life videos, because by the way, even for me, I love those videos. Yeah. Because I feel like it shows the hustle. Yeah. That when you want to practice your passion and do your passion, like you see it. You wake up at 5 a.m. You're at the bakery and you're like doing the dough by yourself, and then you're like second coffee of the day. And I'm like, I can relate to that, because like even though I work in PR, it's still like I love what I do, and even the podcast. So I can relate to that. But you did say in one of your videos that your business was kind of like at a brick road, like you just said it right now, where you weren't really making much money until you do that. Why do you think people were so intrigued to see kind of your journey of being like an entrepreneur and business owner?
I think it comes along with like on social media, like we now have access to so much more information than we ever had before. So like people creating content are kind of lifting the lens on what it is like to live different lives. So when you think about hospitality, you have a front of house and a back of house. And the typical experience when you go to a restaurant is that the back of house is not to be seen. Like your meal gets prepared behind like closed doors, and then it comes out and it's all about the front of house experience. So I think by lifting the lid and sharing what it is like to be in the back of house, people found that quite interesting. And then I just think also a lot of my audience are like young women who also maybe dream of one day owning a business, or more specifically owning a bakery. And so like the idea of that is quite exciting for people. Yeah.
Yeah. I think anyone who's just being like in the hustle, let's be honest, because I'm hustling, right? There's so many women around us that are hustling. I think seeing your videos is even though I suck at baking, by the way, but like it's inspiring to me to see you hustle, because I'm like, yes, I'm also hustling. So I feel like you're relatable to me. I've never met you before, but you're sitting here and I'm like, I feel like I know you, because it's like very relatable to like want to achieve your dreams. Yeah. I think that's what also makes it relatable.
Yeah. And it's so much more than baking. It's like you say, like it's the business side of it. It's the hustle. It's owning your own business, being your own boss. There's so much to it. I think whenever you share, like the more of yourself that you share online, the more that people can relate to. So like having that storytelling element in all of my content, I think has led me to where I am today.
And I think also we changed from like the Instagram of like the filtered pictures, the face tuning, all of that into TikTok, which is more authentic. Yeah. And that's where people relate. And I think that's where people like you have, like you found your audience, you found your people. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Truly. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like when people come up to me and they're so excited to meet me, I'm genuinely just as excited to meet them, because it's a two-way street. Like if you find me relatable and you like what I like the same things as you. We're 100%. The same kind of person. And so it's given me like such a great community of people to meet and hang out with. And like people come into the bakery all the time from all over the world. And it is genuinely the most authentic experience of my life, like to be standing there and meeting them as well. It's amazing.
That must also feel surreal.
It does.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. Like,
I think now it's become like more normalized. Okay. Yeah. And so when people come in, I'm just like super excited to meet them. But yeah, the first few times that it happened, I was like so teary all the time. Just, because it's like the most incredible thing, because I wasn't making any money. And then suddenly people are traveling from faraway places to come and visit you. It's crazy.
It is great. And I know people in the Abu Dhabi pop-up and this one came from all over the region.
Yes.
Bahrain, Saudi, Kuwait, Qatar, like all over the region. And I think, like, as you know, in our culture here, we love food.
Yeah.
And so when we find something good and we're like, we like it. You know what I mean? We really love it. How has it been like being in the Middle East for the first time?
Well, I've been out here a few times. So throughout my travels, I would come in and out.
Oh, you would come in and out. Okay, awesome.
It's a really good pit stop from Australia. Like when you're going over to Europe or even to the United States, like a lot of, like I would come through Dubai. Abu Dhabi, I'd only visited once, like very briefly. So it was really nice to spend more time there. I am obsessed. I just love like Saadiyat. It's such a nice area.
So beautiful.
Yeah, super cultural. And I think it's really like growing into its own right now. That was really incredible. I also went out to Liwa.
Oh, look at you, bro.
Yeah,
I
like, did. Yeah. I had the best time. I got invited to an Emirati dinner with the women and had like the full experience. I was honestly, the hospitality here and like everyone is just so welcoming, and I think it's part of the culture.
I agree 100%. Yeah, no, and we love to have you here. We like love having you here. When I see your videos here, it's just, they make me so happy because I've been seeing you in Australia. You know what I mean? I'm like, yes, she's here. Okay, bringing it back to Brookie Bakehouse. What was there at a point? I know you said for the first like 8 months or so you weren't making any money, but during that time before you really started picking up on social media, was there a point where you're like, I'm tapping out, I can't do this, it's too much stress? Like, how do you monitor that in your head? Because I feel like it's also a mental game.
It is. It never came to mind that I would quit or that it's just part of my DNA. I think. I came from a very like humble upbringing. Like we certainly had everything that you could ever want, like in a suburban lifestyle. Like we never went without. But for me, like my parents always worked like very regular jobs. My dad was in sales, so he would kind of change jobs with the seasons.
Yeah. And
my mum always worked full time as well. So like I've always had that, I guess, understanding of like, if you want something, you have to work for it. I started working at 14 and 9 months is the legal age in Australia.
14 and 9 months.
Yeah. Okay. So just under 15. I know it's so random, but
I'm like, why can't they just do 15?
I don't know. But yeah, from then I've been working and paid for everything that I've ever had. Like it's just something that my parents wanted us to understand is like, if you want something, you just have to earn the money to buy it. So I think having that instilled in me from a young age has kind of given me that perspective of like, you can have whatever life you want, but you have to work for it. So for me, when it wasn't working out and I was just kind of like paying the bills and everything, I was betting on myself. Like I thought, I'm going to get there. I just haven't figured it out yet. So
it's almost like you didn't let your mind go to quitting is not an option.
I don't think I've ever quit on anything. I'm trying to think about that before.
Yeah, because maybe you like in your head you're like, quitting has never been an option for me.
No,
therefore it's only gonna work out.
I don't have like a safety net, so it hasn't been an option because like there's no one I can call to be like, hey, like I need
help.
No, I've never done that. And maybe it's pride as well, because I'm sure my parents would help me out in any way that they could. But it's not a part of like the way that I grew up. So it's just never been a part of like the way my brain thinks.
I think that's also a good thing, because if your brain doesn't allow yourself to get to that place, then success is your drive. Yeah. And you can only succeed. So in your head, I also feel like you manifested this almost. Like, you know, like genuinely. From a young age, baking with your mother in the kitchen, like even as a small child, when like my mom used to like let me anchor. Like, and I podcast now. I wanted to be a news anchor, but I always wanted to use my voice for something. Yeah. Like to tell people stories. So I almost feel like when you're at a young age, you're kind of instilled with that positivity around a certain skill. Yes. Or something to do. It almost, you manifest it for yourself.
It's the reinforcement, I think, as a child. Like, I think it's really important. And what was reinforced in me from a young age, my parents always said, no matter what you want to do, we'll support you. And they didn't go to university. So they were like very proud that I did even go to university. But they never pushed me in any career direction or educational direction. They always just said, whatever you want to do, like we're happy so long as you love what you do. And as much as like getting up early is difficult sometimes, I genuinely love
5 a.m. But I see them, I'm like, 7 a.m. for me, I'm already struggling.
I know, over here it's so different. But where I live is it's in Queensland, so it's up north in Australia. So at 5 a.m. like the sun is already shining. So
I always see that and I'm always shocked. I'm like, for sure it's 7 a.m. I'm like, girl, there's no way it's
people,
5
I you've read the comments.
Yes,
people are like, there's no way it's 5 a.m. And I'm like, guys, I live in subtropical north, like it's Yeah, it's different.
I would love to know how you get your creations for your cookie recipes.
I like get the ideas.
Yeah, like how do you get? Because there's the New York York cookie, which I think has like a certain nut, right? It's pecans or walnuts. Walnuts. So like for that, I'm like, how did you like come up with that recipe, for example?
Okay, so that specifically, it's called the New York cookie because I was inspired by a trip to New York.
Okay.
Have you ever been to New York City?
Of course. Yes,
okay, so have you been to Levon?
No.
It's a bakery.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where I had a choc chip walnut cookie. They are famous for it. And at the time that I was there, my friends were like, you have to try this cookie. And I didn't even really, like I wasn't into cookies. Yeah. But this is this famous like New York chunky style cookie. Okay. And I went there and I was like, it's amazing. And I hate it. Like I was not a walnut person. Yeah. I think it was the age, you know, when you're like early 20s. We
don't
and
understand nuts at that age.
No. So I had this cookie and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever tasted. So the first cookie that I had was just like trying to recreate that by making my own recipe from there, because that was super popular. So that was the best selling thing in the bakery. I had like macarons, cupcakes, brownies, like a bit of everything. And I thought the bakery would be more about like celebrations for people, not really just coming in, buying a cookie and leaving, more about like buying a cake or like celebrating something in life. And you think, I'll go to Brookie and get something to celebrate. Yeah. But the cookie became the bestseller very quickly. So I was like, hang on a second. Okay, we're on to something. Yeah. Cookies were trending, like just starting to come up. Again, it's like, have you read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell?
Yes, I have.
Timing, right? Yes. So there's like luck and timing do play a part. Yeah. At that time, cookies were becoming really popular, and it just so happened that I had a great cookie and no one else was doing it in the city that I lived in to that level, or like to the New York chunky style cookie. So when that was really popular, I was like, hang on a second, we need to do more of these because this is what's working. So then I would just create more and more cookie flavors.
So just at home, you're like, all right, let's whip something up. Chocolate chips, let's go flour, let's go sea salt.
No, because like, so what I have done is like I've developed the base recipe for all the cookies. So
I know you have also a cookbook. Yes.
Yeah. So we have the base dough, or like different base doughs that we use, and then we just adapt them for different ideas. Quite often, I will go into the bakery and be like, guys, I have this crazy idea. And they just go, yeah, what is it? Like, here we go.
Like, let's go, Brooke, what's going on?
But there's always like creative people, I think, quite often. Like, I think as a founder of a business or a brand, you typically go one of two ways, like the creative or more of like the administrative way. For me, it's like full creative. I don't feel like my skill set is based in... I do love leading a team. That's something I've learned to love, though. I think I've like done the work to try and become better at that. I still think I could be better at that, but I am not. I hate numbers. I don't even want to know like what is incoming, what is outgoing. I'm not interested. I feel that. It gives me anxiety.
Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. So I love the creative side of it, but I don't love like the business side of business, which is, it's just not my forte. Like I know my strengths, but I definitely know my weaknesses. So I think being in the creative side of it, it has allowed me to like move very quickly because it comes quite easy to me. So I'll walk in and say, hey guys, my favorite thing to eat is an almond croissant. Yeah. Let's make it a cookie. And then it just goes from there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you like dream of it and wake up and you're like, I have an idea?
Sometimes, genuinely. But a lot of the times, like I think from my travels, I like experienced so much and I had tried so many things. So now it's just about like those ideas are kind of like stored somewhere in my memory. Yeah. And then something will spark that memory and I go, oh, this is a great idea. Let's do this. Another great example is our cinnamon scroll cookie. Yes. And that's like injected with cream cheese and cinnamon paste. And that's just because I like eating them. Yeah. So I was like, let's make it a cookie.
Others are going to like this too. Yeah. No, 100%. So I liked how you said, I wanted to go back on like the team leader stuff because so just got promoted at my real-time job, not my podcast job, to a managing director on like managing a lot of people. And I think it almost is glamorized in a way that like, you know, you want to be a manager, but no one then tells you people management is tough. I think in any industry that you're in, because also they have their emotions, they have their trajectory of whether they want to progress. If it's like someone at the cashier who then wants to be in the back, being the baker. So now you're a business owner and you know, you have to have both responsibilities and as like the face to the brand really. So how have you kind of overcome that challenge of like learning how to manage a team?
I think more than anything, I think it comes with time. So before Brookie, I actually did have a dessert restaurant.
Okay.
It was in my hometown. So the little island that I'm from.
Yeah.
So it was a much smaller scale. But through the 3.5 years that I had that, I was like, people were coming and going. And hospitality is an industry where people do, it's quite transient. People do come and go more than other industries. The best thing you can do is try and hold on to people. So just treat your team members well and create an environment where they want to come to work every day. But I think the main thing to remember is like a work setting is the same as like when you grow up in a school setting. There's different personalities, different egos, different levels of education. Quite a lot of our team are from different places around the world. So then you have different languages, cultures.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into it. So I actually think the best thing I did was all that travel that just led me to understand people a little bit more. I don't know, and just have those conversations with people who English is their second language. So just breaking down those barriers. Everyone communicates differently.
Yes.
So that's something that I try and take into every time something goes wrong.
Yeah.
I remember that some people need to be shown, not told.
It's true,
so it's just understanding people. I think taking the time to get to know them, and that just comes with time.
What are other challenges or obstacles that you didn't realize that owning a business would come with?
Ooh, good question. There's so many challenges. You know what? Here's what I'll say. Owning a business, you wake up every day. I wake up every day and I go, what problems am I going to solve today? I show like the really like lovely, like here I am piping cupcakes or putting cookies in and out of the oven. And that is a part of it too. But every single day, my team come to me with problems or customers or, like there's always problems that are coming at you and you have to figure out what to do. And I think creativity is quite a lot. It's just problem solving. So I think every day there's just your team come to you and you have to come back with answers. So I think probably to answer your question, I think figuring out how to equip your team with the thought processes or like the understanding of what you would do in a situation so they don't have to keep coming back to you for those answers. I think
that's a good one.
Yeah. So I think it's and that comes through communication. It also comes through things going wrong. If things don't go wrong, you won't have the solutions. And so now for me to step away and, fly halfway across the world for a few days, it's only possible because I've spent that time with the team and figuring out like everyone's roles and responsibilities and what would we do in this situation. So instead of fixing the problems for your team, teach them how to fix the problems.
That's a really good piece of advice that I'm actually going to use. No, because I think you're right. It's about, because I think a lot of things with being a manager, a managed team, or having your own business is you're putting out fires every day. Like you kind of said, you're like, okay, what problems today are going to, or what new problems are today going to bring? And I think it's about teaching your team, like, this is how I would do it, or this is how, like, let's collaboratively work together to put them out together. I know, to switch gears a bit, I know you just had a baby last year. Congratulations.
I did. Thank you.
So TikTok sensation, bakery guru, owning a business, cookbook that came out. I know you're on a lot of cooking shows as well. And I know you mentioned that you wanted to have your own baking show one day, hopefully, in one of your TikToks. And you're a new mom. Yeah. So how did you balance everything last year? Is there such thing as balance?
Last year was a lot. So I also got married. Yeah, I moved house into like our family home. So I mean, moving in itself is like such a big thing to do. Yeah. It was a really busy year, but it was also the most exciting year of my life. Yeah. So I just kind of kept rolling with it.
You're like, whatever.
Yeah, it was like 8 days a week. What I was saying all the time. It's just like, I don't know. I think when you're in that fast lane, it's so, like, I'm actually so fearful of coming one lane back and like slowing down because I just love it so much to be given those opportunities to be like in the situation where you can fly around the world and do all these like fun, cool, exciting things, or opening new stores. Like, I love the adrenaline of being a business owner. So for me, I'm just grateful to be doing it. I don't really stop and like second guess it or question anything. I think I am a bit of a yes person too. I'm just like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Like, why not? Can we do a pop-up for a month in Abu Dhabi? Yes, we can.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, but I think you're right. Not overthinking it too much. Just saying yes to everything. That's how I try and live my life as well. Is like, just say yes yes to everything. Every opportunity, say yes.
Yeah.
Because then you're not going to, because you'll probably live with regret of saying no and then not knowing what could have happened.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think like the best things always come out of your comfort zone. So even saying yes to come over here and speak, I've never given a keynote speech. I was so nervous, not in just going up there and being on stage, but in the preparation as well. I have a little bit of a goldfish memory, so I can't remember too much of like if I go over things too many times. So it's actually
over prep almost.
Yes, to over prep. So for me, it's easier just to kind of go with the flow and just speak my truth. I mean, I'm sharing my story, so like I know it better than anyone else. So yeah, it was a challenge, I think, for myself to say yes to doing that, but I'm so glad that I did. I got off the stage and I was like, I want to do this again.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
I loved
awesome.
it. It was great. And I think we have a great crowd here too of people who are interested in hearing people's founder journeys. So
yeah, I wanted to ask I have two questions. First one is, what does the future look like for Brookie Bakehouse?
I want it to be the most globally recognized brand in the baking industry.
Yes.
Aim high.
Aim high.
Yeah. I mean, look at what we've done in 2 years. I would love to see what we do in 20 years. I got to the point when I turned 30 where I was like, whatever I do next is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I love working. I love building businesses. This is what I want to do forever. So for me, it's like what does that look like? It looks like so many things, but we're opening more stores. So that's something that we're doing this year. We're also coming to the UAE eventually this year. Yeah. We have been having like so many conversations. It's fascinating what happens when, you have a queue full of people lining up to get your product every day at a festival for a month. Everyone suddenly like knows that you exist and is like, okay, let's get on board. So that's been really exciting, but also we're taking our time and finding the right partnership. Also lots of things. I am actually just launching my own cooking show.
Okay.
Yeah. So instead of waiting for opportunities to come to me, I'm quite, I like to endorse like just going out there and doing it yourself. So I manifested like the cookbook. I've always wanted to write a cookbook. And I think that came because I had the online masterclasses available and because they sold so well. Penguin Random House reached out to me and said, have you ever thought about writing a cookbook? I said, yes, I have. I've got the whole thing written.
For like 30 years. Yeah.
I was like, let's go. So the cooking show I'll be launching on YouTube very, very soon.
Amazing. Me and my husband, by the way, love watching cooking shows. Like it's like our thing every night.
It is therapy.
I love it. It is therapy. Mind switches off. You're like, okay, inspo tomorrow night. Let's do it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I hired like a film crew locally in Brisbane and they're working with me to produce the show and it's going to be great.
Okay, amazing.
So those things. And then, I would love to see Brookie in more locations around the world, not just shops, but also like products.
Yeah.
Our merch is really popular. We ship that all over. So just keeping to build it and keeping to grow it outside of Australia as well. For us, Australia is like it's home. So it's always going to be where we're putting all of our time and effort in.
Yeah.
But working with the right people to take Brookie around the world, I think is really what I'm looking forward to.
And my last question is, what impact do you hope to leave your mark on the world?
Oh, I think, you know what? When I think about baking, like that is me growing up with my mum. And I think becoming a mother now, it means more to me than it ever did before. So I think being able to give people the recipes or the encouragement or just the inspiration to get in the kitchen and create things. I think we live in a world now where everything is so digitally enhanced and we're spending so much time not working with our hands. I think it would be nice to see people kind of back in the kitchen doing the things they love, and baking is just not that scary. It is, honestly, it's, I think the more you do it, the better you get.
100%.
And so just to encourage people to do that and just spending time together with people that you love in the kitchen, what is better than that?
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Brooke, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I could have gone another 30 minutes, by the way, people.
I agree.
Right? I could have gone another 30 minutes. We'll save it for the next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.